A reporter's on a mission to save an innocent man from death row in our film True Crime, after news at 10, with James Mates and Julie Etchingham.
Hazel Blears says sorry, but has it come too late to hang on to her seat?
I have a number of regrets. I regret enormously. I will, regret forever.
Regrets, she's had a few, 3 in fact, but now the MP whose resignation sparked a leadership crisis for Gordon Brown faces being deselected by Labour.
Also on News at 10, Meredith murder, Amanda Knox takes the stand to insist she only confessed because of police pressure.
They called me a stupid liar.
Mi hanno chiamato stupida bugiarda.
And they said that I was trying to protect someone.
Millions vote in Iran's election. Tonight, both sides are claiming victory. And mercy for Madonna as the star wins her battle to adopt the little girl from Malawi.
Good evening. A week after causing a storm in Westminster, Hazel Blears' own political future is looking increasingly in doubt. She's facing a constituency motion of no confidence following growing criticism of how she quit government. Today, in an emotional interview, she said she was now sorry for resigning the day before the local elections. She also admitted making other mistakes and insisted she never wanted to harm the Labour Party. Our senior political correspondent, Chris Shipp, reports.
No ministerial car and no driver for Hazel Blears today. Life has certainly changed since she dramatically quit the cabinet. But it's a time in which the former community secretary has clearly been reflecting on what she did and regretting how she did it.
Hazel, do you think sorry is enough for the voters?
Thank you.
On her regrets, she had quite a list. It began with her newspaper article on Gordon Brown's much-mocked internet address. YouTube if you want to, she wrote.
It was thoughtless and it was hurtful, and I apologised straight away afterwards to him for it.
Next, she was sorry for her timing. She walked out on her job 24 hours before the polls opened last week.
In hindsight, that judgment was wrong. I think the effect on the party just before the elections is something that I will, regret forever. I was chair of the party, Labour, literally to my bootstraps, and I wouldn't deliberately ever do anything to harm the party, so I regret that enormously.
And lastly, for wearing that brooch, the one which read, "Rocking the boat." On that, she was visibly upset.
I think that was just because I'd had 4 weeks of intense media pressure, the like of which I personally have never known. And at that point, I just had enough, and it was a stupid thing to do, in retrospect.
Well, I think that it's good that she said that. And, I know there's been a lot of frustration and there's been turbulence.
There was no Hazel Blears in cabinet this morning. Those days are over. But her battle is no longer in Whitehall. It's in her Salford constituency, where she's now fighting to regain the trust of voters there.
I don't think it's good enough.
Wouldn't trust her as far as I could throw her.
Too little, too late, yeah.
It shows paying back the money does not automatically win back the voters. She was the cabinet minister best known for her sunny disposition. Today, we saw another side to Hazel Blears.
So, Chris, crucially, will she be able to hang on to her job, do you think?
Well, Julie, amazing as it seems, it was only on Wednesday of last week that Hazel Blears resigned. And when she did, I went over to the Commons, I spoke to several MPs, quite a few ministers, and I said to them, look, this is terrible, isn't it, for Gordon Brown? And actually their response was different. I didn't expect it. They said, actually, the party is furious with Hazel Blears. They will not forgive her for resigning, for walking out the door on the day before a local election when we've got people campaigning, trying to get people out to vote Labour. And I think that message, that party anger has clearly got back to Hazel Blears, and it's led to the pretty fulsome apology which we saw today. Now, after she went, of course, James Purnell was the next out the door, and I think that was the time when it was looking most rocky for Gordon Brown last week. Now, his close friend, the Foreign Secretary David Miliband, has been speaking about that moment. He's told tomorrow's Guardian newspaper, I made my decision on Thursday. James made his in good faith, I made mine in good faith. We all have to live with our decisions. In other words, I decided then to back Gordon Brown, not sack him. If David Miliband had decided otherwise, we could be in an entirely different place today.
OK, Chris, thank you.
After 18 months in custody, the American woman accused of murdering British student Meredith Kercher today gave her side of the story. Amanda Knox appeared confident as she was questioned in an Italian court about the killing. In her testimony, she denied stabbing her former flatmate and accused police of beating her during questioning. Sally Biddulph was in the Italian courtroom.
Today was Amanda Knox's day in court. She arrived simply dressed in a white blouse and trousers, her hair neatly tied back. On the witness stand, she began in English, saying how pressurised she felt during her police interrogation and how they questioned her about her mobile phone.
Look at your message.
Il telefono davanti e mi facevano guarda i messaggi.
You are going to meet someone.
Stavi per incontrare qualcuno.
And when I denied that, they continued to call me a stupid liar.
She told of how police shouted at her and that she became confused.
I was very, very scared.
Avevo tanta paura.
Because they were treating me so badly and
Che
didn't
mi
understand
trattavano così
why.
male e io non capivo perché.
Amanda Knox is accused, along with her former boyfriend Raffaele Sollecito, of murdering British student Meredith Kercher in November 2007. They were friends and shared the house where Meredith's body was found half naked with her throat cut. Police believe a sex game had gone terribly wrong. A third suspect, Rudy Guaido, was found guilty of Meredith's murder at a fast-track trial last year and is now serving 30 years in jail. This afternoon, Amanda switched to speaking only Italian after appearing frustrated by the interruptions of her translator. Again, she referred to her initial police statement, saying she had mixed memories with imagination. I was confused because under pressure from the police, I had to follow a reasoning that they had suggested, she said, namely that I allegedly heard Meredith scream. The fact that I didn't remember this made them suggest that perhaps I covered my ears. She then told the court how she'd been with Raffaele Sollecito at his home on the night of Meredith's murder. She said they'd smoked drugs, made love and fallen asleep. She said she only returned home the next day. This trial is gripping Italy. At its heart is a simple question. Is this woman, who the media have dubbed Foxy Knoxy, a cold-blooded killer, or a wholesome American girl caught up in a crime she didn't commit? The unusual thing about this trial is that Amanda Knox has become something of a celebrity here in Italy. Named as a Personality of the Year last Christmas, she's had to wait a full 6 months to have her say for herself in court. Watching her today was her father, who said she had done incredibly well, speaking articulately throughout. He said he now hopes that people have been able to see the real Amanda and not the one portrayed by the media.
Sally, thank you.
A British soldier from the Black Watch 3rd Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, has been killed in Afghanistan. The soldier was caught in an explosion near Kandahar yesterday morning. Next of kin have been informed. The death brings the number of British forces killed in Afghanistan since 2001 to 167.
Tonight in Iran, the man who could end Mahmoud Ahmadinejad's presidency has claimed victory in the country's elections. Supporters of Mir Hossein Mousavi say their figures suggest an overwhelming win. But his hardline opponent says he is in the lead. Today, polls had to be kept open late as millions of Iranians, many of them young, made use of their right to vote. Our international editor, Bill Neely, is on assignment in Tehran.
He's a president under pressure, smiling at the polling station, but there will be more votes against him than for him. The blacksmith's son had his finger on the pulse of Iran 4 years ago. Not anymore. He's struggling to win another 4, accusing his opponents today of working with Iran's enemies to get rid of him. This election has stirred passions and split the country like no other. Iranians aware that the eyes of the West, if not the world, are on them. It is the biggest and most open election here in 30 years, and turnout is high. President Ahmadinejad, the man who confronts the West and questions the Holocaust, is in the biggest fight of his political life. And this is the man he fears, former Prime Minister Mousavi, already making Iranian history campaigning with his wife and voting with her to give Iran's women more freedom. His campaign is already predicting outright victory. That would be stunning and a big shock here. God willing, he says, we will all see better days. Rarely in Iran's history has there been such opposition to a sitting president, and Ahmadinejad would be the first to go.
Here's a nothing.
A nothing?
Nothing.
Someone should stop the bankrupt policies of Ahmadinejad.
But hold the revolution. No change.
No change.
Ahmadinejad was swept to power by the poor and the deeply religious. He's given them money and food to keep their vote, and they are loyal.
Ahmadinejad, Ahmadinejad, Ahmadinejad.
Jamung Iran, Ahmadinejad.
Upmarket, his name is hardly mentioned. Just one word dominates.
I prefer change. I prefer some change.
The people want a change, I think.
What we have experienced during the last 4 years was not very pleasant.
Running for president for the second time against Ahmadinejad, another moderate reformist. Mehdi Karoubi, a former Speaker of Parliament, met me to lash out at a president he says is unworthy. Why did Ahmadinejad deny the Holocaust, he asks? He created enemies for us and damaged Iran's reputation, trying to make himself a hero. Not since the revolution has Iran seen such public protest, a raucous election that has split the country in two. Mr. Mousavi may have the edge, but he needs half the vote to win and avoid a second round. But it's this man who's worried tonight, the former Revolutionary Guard and confrontational leader, confronted decisively and facing a revolution against him. Bill Neely, News at 10, Tehran.
A British man is in a coma in a Spanish hospital tonight after being thrown from a balcony during a brawl near his holiday home. Stephen Mallon fell 25 feet and sustained severe head injuries. He had come to the aid of his teenage sons who had been confronted by a gang of youths. Spanish police arrested more than a dozen people after the incident.
A court's heard claims that a couple accused of starving a 7-year-old to death routinely abused other children. Kyra Ishak died after losing 40% of her body weight. Her mother and her partner deny murder.
And an unemployed chef whose wife was found dumped in a wheelie bin has been charged with her murder. Melanie Wallner's body was discovered in Surrey last Saturday. Her husband Peter was arrested after returning from Malta.
Baroness Thatcher is in hospital tonight after breaking her arm in a fall at her London home. The former Prime Minister is currently under observation at the Royal Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. Damon Green is there for us this evening. What's her condition tonight, Damon?
Her condition is not believed to be serious. On the face of it, the facts aren't really that complicated. Lady Thatcher was filmed early this week at a function at the Carlton Club in central London, had an ambulance called to her home early this morning after a fall. She was brought to hospital where she was x-rayed, and the x-ray revealed a broken bone in her upper arm. Now, at first, the people around her said that she'd be back home within a matter of hours. Then we were told that she'd be kept here as a belt and braces precaution just in case. Now what we understand is a decision won't be made until tomorrow whether she'll be allowed home to recover or if she'll go to a different hospital, the private King Edward VII Hospital, for further treatment. Of course, by anyone's standard, she is an elderly woman. While there's no reason to suspect she won't make a full recovery from this broken bone in her arm, that recovery might not be swift, and it might not be that straightforward.
Damon, thank you.
Still to come tonight, a look at Saturday's front pages and fueling concerns for the recession, a warning rising petrol prices could put a brake on recovery. Plus,
yes, full adoption. It's been granted.
Mother Madonna, the singer's family grows again.
And museum makeover, Banksy stays undercover as he stages a big surprise for the city of Bristol.
He clearly knows the building really well, has been sending us lots of instructions, but we don't know if we've met him yet.
But first, 3 men have been jailed for life for murdering schoolboy Ben Kinsella. The 16-year-old was attacked as he ran away from a fight in North London. He was stabbed 11 times in just 5 seconds. In court today, Ben's family, including his sister, the former EastEnders actress Brooke Kinsella, cheered as the three men were led away. Paul Davis reports.
On the steps of the Old Bailey, a bittersweet moment for George and Deborah Kinsella. Nothing will bring back their son, but their many friends and supporters can celebrate the fact that his killers face at least 19 years in jail.
We'd like it to be longer. We would have loved it to have been longer.
Life should have been life.
And the judge's comments.
What did you think of the judge's comments?
The judge was lovely, fantastic.
Jade Braithwaite, Michael Elaine and Juress Kicker were branded cowards for hunting down and then repeatedly stabbing an innocent 16-year-old. Judge Brian Barker told the three defendants their arrogant, brutal and unfeeling attack had taken away a young life full of promise. The sentences he passed were greeted by a huge cheer from members of Ben Kinsella's family and their supporters in a packed public gallery. In a highly charged atmosphere, there was an angry exchange between members of the Kinsella party and the families of the three accused, and court officials had to intervene before the three convicted killers were led away. Ben Kinsella was remembered today by his sister Brooke. The former EastEnders actress sent an open letter to her brother's killers in today's Daily Mirror.
You will never ever know or come close to understanding what you've taken away from us. Ben was the most kind-hearted, beautiful boy you could ever have the pleasure of meeting, and I was proud to be his sister. I'd like to ask you, just how could you? There are so many things I want to ask you, but I don't think you could even begin to answer. Even if you were sorry, you could never say it enough, and it would never bring back our beautiful Ben.
The Kinsella family say they'll never forget that beautiful young life, extinguished by mindless violence. Paul Davis, News at 10.
After some positive signals that Britain could be heading out of recession, today came a warning from the Chancellor. Alistair Darling says any signs of economic recovery could be snuffed out if oil prices keep on rising.
It is already a problem. News at 10 has found petrol price hikes will leave motorists £4 billion worse off this summer. Our consumer editor Chris Choi investigates.
Forley, near Southampton. Here, in the shadow of Britain's biggest petrol refinery, a business hammered by rising fuel costs. Every 1p a litre extra costs this transport firm £100,000 a year.
Our customers are all experiencing really difficulties in getting that extra volume because people are not buying, and the extra diesel cost to the consumer in the high street will obviously go up. Therefore, less money to spend on the next of this world, the Matalans, etc.
Today, unleaded averaged £1.2p a litre. Research for ITV News by the AA shows motorists face £6.2 million extra a day more than in April. A further 15% rise, predicted by some, would cost drivers £4 billion a year, wiping out much of the budget's £5 billion fiscal giveaway designed to get consumer spending.
That most unwelcome travel companion of the beleaguered British driver is back. Crude oil prices have doubled since December on the forecourts. What that means is 4p a litre rise in just 1 month. And this now is about much more than the overstretched finances of firms and families. It is a genuine threat to national recovery.
The government intended to give away about £5 billion at the last budget, and this fuel increase will eat away at that. Now, how much it eats away depends on how much it goes up, but if, as we know, if it goes up about 10%, then that takes away about half the £5 billion.
At the forecourt closest to the refinery, the impact on consumers is already clear. Alice Wiltshire has a 25-mile daily commute. To pay for it, she's already cutting back on leisure.
If we stop going out, if other people stop going out, our local pub is going to be affected. Down the lane, their staff's going to be affected, and there's going to be job losses, isn't there?
Higher prices at the refinery quickly translate to pain at the pumps. This time it coincides with pay freezes and job losses for families. Now, just as some forecasts suggested signs of recovery, the ultimate price of oil at this level could be to stub out that hope. Chris Choi, News at 10, Southampton.
Well, a recovering economy still seemed a long way off this week for the thousands of people forced out of work. News at 10 Job Watch is tracking major redundancy announcements. Up to 800 jobs are likely to go at the government's Forensic Science Service. Its head office is in Birmingham.
Also in Birmingham, 850 people were forced out of work by the closure of LDV vans. Lloyds Bank Group announced 1,660 job cuts as all Cheltenham and Gloucester branches prepare to close.
And today, 279 people lost their jobs when Bridgend Dairy in Wales was closed. So in all, that's 3,589 jobs lost in major announcements this week.
But 225 jobs were created this week by UK specialist hospitals. They're opening new NHS treatment centres in Bristol, Devizes and Cirencester later this year.
Well, within the last few minutes, Downing Street has confirmed a British man held hostage in Nigeria has been released. Matthew Maguire was kidnapped last September when an oil vessel was hijacked by militants.
And the United Nations Security Council has voted unanimously to impose stronger sanctions on North Korea. It follows the country's nuclear test last month, which defied previous UN resolutions.
Madonna says she's excited after being told she can adopt a second orphan from Malawi. In April, the singer was told her application had been blocked because she hadn't lived in the country for 18 months, a legal requirement. But today, a judge said after considering Madonna's charity work, she will now be able to give 4-year-old Mercy James a new home. Our Africa correspondent Martin Geisley reports.
This is the little girl whose life has just changed forever. These pictures of Mercy James were filmed a few days after she won Madonna's heart in an orphanage in Malawi 2 years ago. The adoption process has not been without its critics or hurdles. In April this year, a judge refused Madonna custody of the girl because it was against Malawian law. The decision not to bow to celebrity won plaudits worldwide. But today, the country's appeal court overturned that verdict. The singer's African legal team woke their colleagues in New York with the news.
Philip, congratulations, it's been granted. Yes, full adoption, it's been granted.
Madonna released a statement through her agent in the States thanking the court for their decision. "I am ecstatic," she said. "My family and I look forward to sharing our lives with Mercy." And that may be the extent of her immediate response. The singer sees this as a very private matter. She made that perfectly clear when I spoke to her in Malawi a few weeks ago.
Can you tell us why you're adopting again, Madonna?
No.
Can you understand people's reservations about it, seriously?
No, that's their business.
Some who had opposed the adoption seem to have softened their stance today.
The court will look at each and every case on its own facts and circumstances. So they won't really take advantage of it. Because if they do, the law as it is, and according to the judgment, there won't be any loopholes for any people who don't have the mandate to adopt to do so.
And so the superstar has defied her critics again and got her way. She is now a single mother of 4. Mercy, a sister for Lourdes, Rocco and David, the boy Madonna adopted in Malawi 2 years ago. She has kept her word and taken him back to his homeland to keep him in touch with his roots. She will perhaps have the same plans for Mercy, maintaining some contact at least with the life and the country she's about to leave behind. Martin Geisler, News at 10.
An American millionaire has offered to rescue the cash-strapped sports channel Setanta. Len Blavatnik, who already holds a small stake in Setanta, says he's offered the company £20 million in exchange for a controlling interest. There's been no comment from Setanta on the offer.
Andy Murray continued his charge towards his first grass court title today with victory in the quarter-finals of the Aegon Championships at Queen's. The top seed beat his American opponent Mardy Fish 7-5, 6-3 and will meet Juan Carlos Ferrero in the semi-finals tomorrow.
And 3 new teams have been given entry into next season's Formula One Championship, but it's still unclear whether Ferrari and other big names will be there. Ferrari say they won't race at all under the planned rules to implement a £40 million budget cap next year. 5 other teams have been given until next Friday to submit unconditional entries.
And tonight's main headline again, Hazel Blears is facing a motion of no confidence from her constituency Labour Party.
They're angry at how she quit government last week. Today she apologised for standing down the day before local elections.
Let's have a look at tomorrow's front pages for you then. The Independent shows women queuing to vote in today's Iranian presidential elections and calls it an outpouring of democracy. The Guardian says the Foreign Secretary David Miliband thought seriously about quitting the government in last week's turmoil. And The Mirror has claims that Madonna's success in adopting a girl from Malawi today may have been due, at least in part, to £12 million she's donated to worthy causes there.
And finally, master of publicity and sometimes street artist Banksy has pulled off his most elaborate stunt to date, organising a homecoming exhibition in total secrecy. Without the knowledge of council officials, Bristol Museum was handed over to the Graffiti King. He's installed 100 pieces of his own work alongside some more traditional artefacts. Rupert Evelyn has been to see an unlikely marriage of cultures.
Ask what you expect to find in a city museum. The answer may well include civic silverware, statues and a random selection of oil paintings. Well, all that is here in Bristol, but there are some surprising additions. They are all works by Banksy, one of the world's best-known contemporary artists. His pieces reach six-figure sums. Although his identity is a secret, he clearly revels in toying with the status quo.
We normally have a big reception desk here. We've cleared that out. The works of art that are dotted around. There are usually other works of art here which belong to the collection, which we've moved in order to let Banksy come in and bring the work. So yeah, it's quite a contrast to anyone who knows the place.
The ordinary museum pieces are still on display, but they're interspersed with some of the artist's work. Finding them, though, can be a little tricky, and it means you have to pay a little bit more attention to details. There's barely a museum curator in Britain who would have turned down this show, but Banksy chose Bristol as it's where he's rumoured to come from.
The international arts scene has known that there's going to be a major exhibition by Banksy, but everyone assumed it would be in Los Angeles or New York or London or Paris. But no, it's here in Bristol where he started at his request, and that's just brilliant for the city.
In keeping with his style of discreetly installing artworks in public places, the exhibition was kept a secret. The museum director is still unaware if she's met Banksy.
He might have been here during the time that the exhibition's been installed. He clearly knows the building really well, has been sending us lots of instructions, but we don't know if we've met him yet.
The anti-establishment artist, now ensconced inside the establishment, was unavailable for comment, although despite his mystery, his opinion is never far away. Rupert Evelyn, News at 10, Bristol.
And that is tonight's News at 10.
The weather and the news where you are is next. But from the two of us, have a lovely weekend. Good night.
Good night.
When you're online, you can compare. There could be bargains waiting there. The weather you could never choose. But Sheila's Wheels is all good news.
Hello again, good evening. There is some rain around as we move into the weekend, but it's mostly concentrated across Northern Ireland and central and western parts of Scotland. Rather cloudy as well, but a milder night than of late. Now, as we look ahead to the start of the weekend, we are going to be seeing some fairly murky conditions across the far northern parts of Scotland and also here down towards the far south western parts of England as well. Although I think for the southwest it could improve a little bit for you into the afternoon. The best chance of dry and bright conditions across the central and southeastern parts of England. Elsewhere, sunny spells and some fairly nifty old showers as well. And then for Sunday, a mixture of sunny spells and showers for pretty much everyone. The best chance of dry weather here towards the south of England. That's it. Have a lovely weekend. I'll see you soon.
The weather you can never choose. Sheila's Wheels is all good news.
Good evening. The parents of a young mother who died from meningitis say an earlier diagnosis could have saved her life. 25-year-old Shazia Ahmed made 2 phone calls to an out-of-hours doctor's surgery when she became ill last February. Eventually, her family took her to hospital in Oxford, but she fell into a coma and didn't recover. Tom Savides reports.
My life would never be the same. I'll never ever feel the same.
The mother of Shazia Ahmed breaks down in tears as she recounts the tragic events that led to her daughter's untimely death. A young mother of 1 who may still be alive today had she received early treatment for meningitis.
Bit of a shock to the system at 50 years old, having a little one again and school runs.
Just hope no one else has to go
through this, you know, like, because it's just devastated the family.
No one else has to go through what we saw.
On 2 occasions, an out-of-hours surgery refused to send out a doctor. When 25-year-old Shazia eventually got to the A&D department at the John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford, she had to wait 5 hours before being transferred to intensive care. A total of 15 hours from when the first call was made to the surgery. The John Radcliffe Hospital and the Oxfordshire Primary Care Trust have apologised to Shazia's family for the distress that was caused. They both admit that an earlier diagnosis may have had a different outcome. Both trusts are now carrying out a full and detailed investigation to find out why so many things went wrong. Once Shazia was diagnosed with meningitis, doctors battled for 4 days to save her life. She died in a coma. Tom Savidas in Oxford for Meridian Tonight.
In other news, a horse trader from Buckinghamshire has been sentenced to 6 months in prison and banned from keeping horses, ponies and donkeys. James John Gray was also ordered to pay £400,000 in costs after he was found guilty of animal cruelty.